Hello YouTube, I'm News Center Maine meteorologist Jason Nappy tracking the big storm, a major storm for Maine and New Hampshire. Let's talk about it now this evening. Here's the rain starting on the SATRAD coming up from the south. And that's going to continue because down to our south, Georgia, Carolina, you got a big storm on hand. Low pressure is spinning. All of the heavy rain in Raleigh starting to move up towards Virginia and D.C. and that's going to continue. All that moisture streams up here because on the water vapor imagery, just kind of switch the satellite, you can see what's going on. A little spin there, a little spin here, and all of the moisture, even some greens popping up on water vapor, which this time of the year tells you, yeah, it's a lot of juice out ahead of this dry air in that orange shade. All that is going to be thrown out ahead of the storm. Here are the socials before I do the deep dive and do it hour by hour, break down the threats, follow along for more storm updates this winter into the spring and beyond. Here's what you need to know. The headlines: widespread power outages on Monday, especially down east and the southern coast and mid-coast. A flood threat because of snow melt in the mountains plus the heavy rain, and the worst weather is late in the morning, southern Maine, through the evening heading up down east. Here's a look at the peak wind gust forecast. Downsloping here on the other side of the western mountains, 30 to 45, not looking for any issues there. But 45 to 55 up towards those ridge lines, the hilltops, and even getting to 55 to 70 south of that, especially along the immediate coastline. And I expect the down east coastline over towards the islands, Penobscot Bay, to start to flirt with 70 plus from this storm. So you got to really watch out there. Also going to have big waves that are going to be rising seas 20 to 30 feet. So big time problems even for the bigger boats. Now the coastal flood warning is up Monday here because of the afternoon high tide around 2:45 to 3 o'clock. Coastal erosion, road damage, inundation a few feet. That's minor to moderate flooding. Fortunately, not a big king tide astronomical situation. We dodged a bullet there, but still going to be an issue. Now this evening, we start to see the greens pop up, darker greens and yellows here. That's going to be heavy rain. That's the first kind of wave and batch out ahead of the really big, heavy part of the storm, which arrives Monday morning at 9 o'clock, yellow there in the western mountains and foothills. And that's going to be all this rain hitting that upslope flow up to the mountains, getting wrung out. Remember, upslope, they're rising and then just hits the mountains. It doesn't have basically the ability to get over to the other side. That means it gets wrung out on these southeast facing slopes. But it's over. By Tuesday morning, you wake up, sun is out, storm is done. So let's talk about the wind here. This is a big factor with this storm. It's not like last week, which the cold front, the coastal front pushed the wind east. This is almost pretty much statewide. I mean, look at even Rangeley making a run for 56 miles an hour. Caribou 48, Calais 50. This storm checks the boxes everywhere for having those widespread power outage, numerous kind of branches down, and even power lines. So you got to really be careful out and about middle of the day Monday. You got the rain, which I've expanded since yesterday here. White Mountains of New Hampshire, western mountains of Maine, foothills. That's where they're going to have the bullseye. And think back to May 1st of last year. We had the culverts that washed out and that big rainstorm. Kind of think like that. Not exactly like that, but there are some similarities there to this storm. And you have to really be careful if you're going over a road and you think that you're okay. You think it's there. It might not be there. So 50 to 60 generally on Monday, but I could see some 65 and even 70s popping up down east. Rain mostly 2 to 4. I can see some 4 to 6s popping up in those western mountain southeast facing slopes. Power outages here in the yellow are going to be almost statewide, pretty moderate, and especially down east during the Monday afternoon time frame here. So during the day Monday, where you see the yellows, there is that threat for power outages. So obviously safety first tomorrow. This is not going to break probably any records here in Maine, but it is still a major storm. It is the worst storm of the last several weeks. We've had these kind of Monday time frame storms. So make sure you're obviously bringing those decorations inside if you can right now. And here's the look at the socials, the last chance that you want to follow along. And I'll talk to you next time as I update the storm throughout the night and into Monday.